This is a tool to build trust, and it's a tool, most importantly, to build loyalty with the customer. It's kind of like saying, hey, I make a great product and I'm willing to stand behind it and I'm willing to have it tested by the end users and prove to you that it actually is as good as we say. Trust is at an all-time low. Consumers don't trust anything, and I find especially as it relates to the big name brands, are even more hesitant to trust them.
Let's start right from the top. Give us a little bit of your origin story. How did you come to be the founder of Parent Tested, Parent Approved? And then we're going to dive into exactly what Parent Tested, Parent Approved is.
Sounds great. How did I get into this? So I had a tech startup many moons ago, and it was a wireless company. So I was standing on rooftops, installing antennas to build a wireless network. We had the first wireless internet company in Canada, and I got pregnant. So I thought, okay, need to get off rooftops. And luckily, there was an opportunity for us to sell the company. And I remember saying to my husband, this is going to be awesome. We're selling the company. I am going to officially be able to stay at home and just be a mom and enjoy every second of it. And his response to me was, right. Okay, I want to see you last more than 1 to 2 months on maternity leave before you're like itching to do the next thing. So hopefully he won't hear this, but he was totally right. I became a mom and I started coming up with product idea. Then I very closely after that had a second child. So they're like 15 months apart. And I came up with a product idea. It was this towel that you wear over your head. It creates this little pouch so you can lift babies out of the bath and put them into this pouch. And I started looking for ways to promote this product. So I found this awards company out there and I sent them my product and they promised they were going to help promote it. And if I paid their $5,000 fee, they were going to give me all kinds of awareness and feedback and focus group. And I remember receiving the email going, you've won. And I was like, woo, this is going to be awesome. And I read the feedback and it was exactly this. Colors were awesome. Fabric was super cute. That was it. And I feel like that was the impetus for, okay, as an entrepreneur, really, you just screwed me out of $5,000. I am going to come up with something bigger, better, more honest, and something that has influence. And that was really the whole notion behind starting Parent Tested, Parent Approved. Basically, I needed to show somebody else how it's really done.
Wow. Okay. So tell us exactly what PTPA is.
Sure. So we, as you said, we were started in order to help simplify shopping for consumers. So new parents especially do so much research when it comes to buying products for their little ones. And they go into a store, or even worse, they go online and there are just endless options. Like you want a baby bottle warmer, there's going to be like 50 of them for you to choose from. And how do you know which one is actually worthwhile? So what I used to do as a new mom is I found I was going to stores, I was buying products based on, oh, it looks great in the packaging. Oh, it's really expensive, so it's going to be awesome. And I would bring it home and it sucked. So I'd start calling my friends who were at the same life stage, and their recommendations ultimately were the best. So I thought, okay, what if we could come up with a system that products can actually get tested by a group of parents who are actually the target demographic for that product? So basically, the Parent Tested, Parent Approved seal was born. So I'm just going to share because I'll share what that looks like.
Right.
And basically, brands come to us. They want to earn that certification. And in order to do so, they need to ship us samples of their products. Those products go to families. We have 250,000 families in our database. We select a small number of those families. They get them. They get the products. They complete detailed market research on their experience with the products. And they give us a testimonial if they loved it. And then we take all of that and determine if the product ultimately earns the certification. The parents are judge and jury as to who gets that seal of approval.
Wow. Okay. So I'm going to have more questions about how that testing actually works.
Sure.
But how did you grow your awareness from day one? I mean, this is, you said 250,000 families that are your testers now. How did you start? Like, how did you start at square one and get to 250,000?
Yeah. So, I mean, it was ultimately, truthfully, harassing. So what at that time, because the business is now 18 years old. So when I first started it was all about how do I get on TV? If I can get on TV, then people are going to hear what I have to say. I'm going to be able to show that seal of approval, and I'm going to be able to show all these products that have earned it. So I started harassing producers. And eventually I found one morning show producer who said, fine, I will give you a segment opportunity if you promise to stop harassing me after this segment. I was like, I'll take it. I will take it. And that was kind of the start of it. She ended up loving the segment. I got a regular segment there. And then I started traveling across the US, doing a lot of morning shows. I got an opportunity or multiple opportunities to be on the Rachel Ray show, the Steve Harvey show. He was so much fun. So headline news. So those kinds of shows ultimately gave me the opportunity to help grow the brand. So while we have 250,000 families in our network, we are also ranked as one of the top most recognized certifications across North America. So I'm going to say over 300 shows I've already done that really contributed to the brand awareness.
Wow. Okay. So was getting TV spots, was that kind of your plan from the get-go to start raising that awareness?
Not at all. I was one of those people who, if I had to stand up in front of a group, I was like, bleh, no, thank you. Absolutely not. And, I still cringe when I see that very first segment that I did, but it became something that I realized I was really good at and I really loved. And what you really love, that craft just becomes your expertise, right? So it was not at all part of the plan of action, but I think as an entrepreneur, that plan of action changes constantly. Like when someone says, what's your 5-year plan? I kind of laugh because I think, my 5-year plan might look completely different by tomorrow, ultimately.
Yep. I think that's such a great point to make because entrepreneurship, it changes almost daily, right? Like your vision for yourself, for your business, for your entrepreneurial journey, it's going to change and you're going to adapt. I think almost quarterly, like for most people. Like
Yeah,
it's even just my business has changed so many times in the 7 years that I've owned it. Like there's a new adaptation almost quarterly.
right.
And I think that's a great point to make. But also I want to hone in on the fact that you put yourself in a position of, something you didn't think you'd be doing, which is getting
Yeah.
on TV or getting in front of people and talking. Kind of let's expand upon that because I think that's such a
Sure.
great point to make for young entrepreneurs out there is the fact that you have to get comfortable doing something uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
So did you just kind of force yourself to do it? What did you do to really get yourself out there and become comfortable doing the uncomfortable?
Right. So this was kind of a double whammy because I was petrified of flying, petrified. So now all of a sudden I was flying out somewhere once a week, every week to do a show. I would have to, because I had 2 little people at home. My husband was carrying a lot of the extra weight. I would fly out at 5 in the morning, do a segment in New York, come back in the evening so I could take my daughter to gymnastics or help my husband out with whatever it was. So there was a lot of strain. There was a lot of that uncomfortable feeling. But ultimately, I knew that if I didn't push myself, then all of this hard work, this great idea was ultimately going to amount to nothing because I recognized that I needed to build that awareness and that relied solely on me. And, to your point, as entrepreneurs, change, I think, is one of the scariest things. It is so uncomfortable. It makes you feel anxious. It gives you panic attacks because you don't really know what's next. But ultimately, change tends to be, while the scariest thing, it tends to be something that pushes our businesses further. And it lets us kind of experiment and get out of that comfort zone. The comfort zone is kind of like, okay, we're happy with where we are today, but where could we be tomorrow if we made this small adjustment and got uncomfortable?
On the other side of uncomfortability is growth.
Yeah.
And I find that to be true at every stage of doing something new and bigger and more uncomfortable than the day before.
Yeah.
The next week, now I'm doing something bigger, right?
Yeah.
So it sounds like that's exactly how it worked for you.
Yeah.
I
100%.
love it. So it sounds like you kind of worked your way up to, you said the Steve Harvey shows. So you've been on some pretty big shows. How did you, from the aspect of getting on, I imagine your first show sounded like maybe a local morning show.
Yep.
And it sounds like you hounded some shows until they let you on. Was there a snowball effect? How did you go from local morning shows to Steve Harvey?
I would love to say there was a snowball effect, but there was not. It was just really being relentless. I would say if I had to pick my most, I don't know if I need to say my best characteristic, but a characteristic that stands out is my relentless pursuit of something that I want. And once I got the high from being on a handful of TV shows, it was okay, how do we get to that next level? And it was funny because I totally remember this embarrassing moment. I was pitching at that time, the Rachel Ray show was huge. And I remember just endlessly pitching them. And I was in the office and a call came through and I pick it up and this woman says, "Oh, I'm the producer for Rachel Ray. We wanted to come out and come to your offices, do a full day of filming, invite you into the studio afterwards in New York, and let's do a whole segment." And I'm like, okay, seriously, who is this? I figured it was just a friend of mine because everybody knew like I was just pursuing them to no end. So it was like 3 times this producer had to convince me as to who she was and that she was legit. And then honestly, I was really embarrassed. But yeah, it was, getting on something like the Rachel Ray show and doing that a handful of times definitely acted as something that helped me then start pursuing the Steve Harvey show. And at least I had some background that I could go to them with saying, "Hey, I've appeared on Headline News, on Rachel Ray. Marie Osmond had a show for the moment in time." So it allowed me to kind of use that as a little bit of leverage. But I will say, it is hard work. It does not get easier. No matter how many times you've done it, it is really hard work.
Yeah, running your PR, especially when you're newer in the game and you're trying to get the word out,
Yeah.
is very challenging. So, is there a little bit of advice or tidbits you can share with the audience, perhaps for some of our young entrepreneurs out there they're trying to get their name out there for their product or their service, or they're trying to get on a show? What were some of the tactics you used to get on, whether it's a local morning show or Rachel Ray? Was it calling, how did you find the numbers? Was it emails? What was it, sending video pitches to, a talent team? Did you have PR helping you out? What did that look like for you?
Yeah, it was kind of a combination of everything that you said. So I was still calling, emailing. I was putting together like a sell sheet on me with screenshots of me on different shows. And it's no different than it is today, except today I would say it's much harder because now everything seems to be a paid opportunity. Whereas in the past, I had the opportunity to pitch them and they were open to listening to it without, saying, "Okay, that's great, but there's going to be a $10,000 appearance fee with that." Now it is very much that. It is hard to find those shows that will bring you on that don't actually charge a fee. So I would say that the good part of that is there are so many opportunities now to create your own content, right? YouTube makes life so easy. Put some dollars behind it. Post on LinkedIn. There's so many different ways to grow your business now without having to worry about spending those kinds of dollars to promote yourself, as you know.
Yeah,
As you've
absolutely.
successfully done.
Right. It's quite a ball game, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's an awesome side of your story on how you started building your awareness. Let's talk more about the business itself. So, how does a business like this make money? Let me start there.
Sure. So brands that come to us, they have to pay a fee to go through our testing program. And all of that includes all of the market research they get. If they earn the certification, there's a ton of marketing that goes alongside that. I have an amazing team who build out newsletters, social content, are doing all kinds of different promotions for these award-winning brands. One thing that is very unique about us is the fact that we are the only awards organization in North America that actually gives a refund if companies don't earn our certification. Because ultimately, they're prepaying for this program. They're prepaying for all the testing. So In the case that a brand does not earn it, and this is a big differentiator because there are like hundreds of awards out there now, and I would say 99% of them are pay for play. So what happens is if they don't earn our certification, they get a 70% refund of their fees and they get all of the market research that we've collected. So essentially, they're paying very little for a focus group that hopefully gives them insights that they will then be able to take, revise their product or offering, and then come back to us with an improved version.
Okay.
Yeah,
So how do you mentioned the like the pay to play? It seems like there's probably a stigma associated with that. And maybe even from the consumer side, people might be wise to the fact that, oh, they're certified this and they earn this, best award XYZ,
yeah.
but they paid for that. They paid $20,000 and now they
On
can
it.
say they're blah blah blah.
Yeah,
How do you guys get around that stigma?
yeah. So it is the bane of my existence. I've named it awards washing and I'm trying my best. And thanks for asking the question because it gives me an opportunity to help share that. I'm not a martyr. I just live by this ethos that ultimately if my seal is on something, I want it to be credible. I want it to be authentic. Could we be exponentially bigger if we did things the way everybody else did things? Yeah, we probably could. But the company was built on the notion of number one, we are there to support families, to help simplify life. We are going to live authentically, speak authentically. And if we do it the way everybody else does it, which is, oh, we're putting out a big vote. You can win a new iPhone if you vote on whether you think this product is cool or not. That means absolutely nothing. And everyone is putting out these awards, and we've done some investigative reporting, undercover testing with all these different awards companies. And the vast majority of them do not require a single sample of the product be sent. So that's number one. Oh, you can send us a picture of your product and a description, and we'll let you know if you've earned the certification. One of them that I saw a lot of brands using, turns out there's not a single person in that organization, which I think is only a single person, that has a profile on LinkedIn. You can't find anything about them. The office address is in an apartment somewhere in the depths of Chicago. You don't have to send samples, but companies are proudly displaying these seals. So my goal is to help educate families. I want them to know when you see parent tested, parent approved, it means just that. It's been tested by parents and they have approved it. If it says voted best this or voted best that, it means absolutely nothing. It's just a popularity contest. So as consumers, do the research in advance. Don't just buy something because it has 10 awards, because if it has 10 awards, they're probably the vast majority of them are pay for play because brands just like to be able to say, hey, I won this, regardless of what it actually means.
Yeah, that reminds me of the one time in a former life I worked in corporate America, and they have those best workplaces awards,
Yes.
top fit. It's the same deal. And it was like, hey, make sure you write everything nice about what you love about working here. And I was
Right.
like, if this is this a real review? Because I'm about to shred this and then I'm going to peace out in about a month. But it was like, clearly they were paying for this thing and then they
Yeah.
just wanted gushing reviews from their employees. I was like, all right, guys, this is ridiculous.
That's exactly it. I mean, ultimately, brands are paying us also, but we make it very clear there are no guarantees you're going to win. And we had one brand; they're a global brand. Everyone has them in their home, and they had submitted like 20 products for testing with us, and 19 of them did so well. It was awesome. The 20th, like, bombed it. It was terrible. People had the worst reviews. And it was pretty early on in the business. And at that point, I decided I was going to call the brand manager and kind of, instead of just sending that standard, sorry, your product didn't win email, I was going to give her a call. And I was so anxious. And I remember calling her saying, congratulations, like all these products are in the certification, but unfortunately, this one did not. And she said, can I ask why? And I gave her all of the reasons. And then it was like silent. So I'm like, okay, great. We have lost this customer. And then she said something to the effect of, you have just validated the credibility of your program to me. And I said, tell me more. And she said, I want you to know for that same product in the last 2 weeks, we have won 4 other awards. But having said that, our R&D team already found 80% of the issues you've just outlined, and we've already pulled the product from the shelves. It is already being recalled because we have found things with it that could be dangerous to infants. So the fact that we won all of these other awards, but you came back with research as to why we weren't earning yours is the biggest differentiator, and we will continue to work with you for years to come. So that
Wow.
credibility and honesty actually pays off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm interested in how the testing process actually works. So, first of all, you've got 250,000 parents or families that are your testers. So, do they contract with you? Do you pay them? How do you have so many, first of all? And how does a parent or a person become a tester for you?
Yeah. So number one, PTPA.com, you can sign up to be a tester there. You do not get paid. There's nothing coming to you except for free product in exchange for your honest opinion. So when you get selected to test a product, and not all testers, not all of the people in our database are going to get to test a product because it is a large volume of people. But if you do get selected because you are the right target demographic for a particular product, we will get the product drop shipped to you at no cost to you. And then you will get a survey that is customized to that product. And the only thing we ask you to do is fill out that survey about your experience with the product. So we'll ask things like, every survey is going to be different, but ultimately, is it a product you're going to continue using? Do you recommend it to others? Did it do what it said it was going to do? Was it good value for your dollar? We're kind of asking questions that one consumer would ask another. We're not asking you to investigate whether it's really phthalate free or not. We're asking the usability questions. And based on that, we are going to make the decision. And the only thing we ultimately ask, do a great job giving us your feedback. Some people who receive the products love to upload videos of their experience because consumers, we have opinions, right? When we love something, we're happy to share it. When we hate something, I feel like sometimes we're even happier to share that.
Yeah.
But we're honest. Ultimately, we're
Right.
honest, and that's all we are looking for from our testers.
So, do you send a specific product to be tested to one person or 100 people and then, take the aggregate of the reviews? How do you guys handle the volume, or
Yeah,
is
so
there
we take a
volume to that?
smaller number of consumers. So it's about 25 families, depending on the product. If it's like a CPG kind of product, like it's a snack or something like that, it might be a larger volume. And we've built a custom platform that runs all this for us. So a brand will go into our platform and select who their target demo is. Maybe it is a mom who loves to cook and she needs something that will simplify life for her. It's an air fryer. I don't know. There's an income demographic that she wants, or, in the case of, we work with Procter and Gamble on a specific weed killer product. We needed to test that in the winter. We needed to find states that were hot where we could test things like that. So the brand puts in all their demographic info. The system will auto select the right families. And then we ask those families, is this something you'd like to test? Does this align with your family? If so, then the products get shipped to them.
Do you have brands that are just like you're almost on retainer with them, where they're just constantly submitting products to you for review? Or I guess my question, is it more one off per company, or are they always coming back and almost like retainer?
Yeah, so it's not retainer, but we have a lot of brands that have been with us. We have a brand who's been with us for over 15 years. So also their license for their certification has to get renewed annually. So we have about an 86% renewal rate. So brands are coming back to us every time they're launching something new because they've seen the value. They've seen how it drives purchase by consumers. We actually had a stat, 86% of consumers said when they are faced with multiple products that are kind of priced reasonably the same and have reasonably the same functionality, 86% of them are going to go with the one with the parent-tested, parent-approved certification because they know what that means and they feel like, okay, I don't have to go read hundreds and hundreds of reviews that I don't even know if they're fake or real. I trust this, so I'm going to buy it based on that.
Wow. Okay. Do you guys, speaking of the power of the badge, essentially, where do brands present this badge? Is it on the product? Is it on their descriptions online? Is it only on their D2C website? If you're buying a product off Amazon, are you going to be
Yeah.
able to find your badge? How
Yep.
does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. So everybody uses it differently. So we worked with Dyson for almost a decade, and they used to use it on QVC. Like they loved announcing that this was award-winning product. We worked with Aldi on a line of food products, and they had this national commercial for their version of a macaroni and cheese. And at the end of that commercial, you see the seal of approval. Then there is packaging. Packaging is a longer haul, but the brands that work with us long term tend to incorporate it into packaging. The beauty of the certification is that if you win today, you can be uploading that certification to all of your retailer websites and adding it to that header image. So it is the first thing that consumers are going to see when you earn that seal and when they're shopping for a product. And then when you do a Google search for a product and multiple options show up, but one shows up with the seal, that's really powerful. So all that to say, they use it anywhere and everywhere that works for them.
Do they bring, I guess, products? Is it always new products that they've just created and before they even bring it to market, they want to get this? Or are these products that have been on the market or for any amount of time and they're like, hey, we ought to go get that badge on this
Yeah.
too? How does that work?
Yeah. So it's actually both of those scenarios. So sometimes we're testing products before they go to market because the brand wants the opportunity to launch that product as an award-winning product or an award-winning lineup of products. So with Aldi, we did that. They were launching an entire kids line called Little Journeys. We tested all of that. It didn't even have its final packaging. And they were able to launch. They had these banners in all of their stores, flyers, print flyers, digital flyers, and everything was, we won. We have this award-winning lineup of products. And then there's brands that, there's so much competition these days, right? You have your national brands, you have your challenger brands, you have your private label brands. How do you stand out? Even if it's not a product that's brand new, it could be a product that we've been using for years. But ultimately, now the brand is looking for a differentiator. Consumers, trust is at an all-time low. Consumers don't trust anything. And I find, especially as it relates to the big name brands, they're even more hesitant to trust them, right? Because there's all kinds of stories that have come out. So this is a tool to differentiate. This is a tool to build trust. And it's a tool, most importantly, to build loyalty with the customer. It's kind of like saying, hey, I make a great product and I'm willing to stand behind it and I'm willing to have it tested by the end users and prove to you that it actually is as good as we say it is.
How do you guys handle, I guess, well, maybe this is a per product basis, but some products I imagine it's better to get a long-term test on it to test its holdability, if it can hold up as opposed to working great within the first week.
Yeah.
But it's something that you need to last a little longer. Do you guys set timing parameters
Yeah.
around how long you'll test something? Is that up to you? Is that up to the brand? What does that look
Yeah.
like?
So a brand might tell us, oh, efficacy is over the next 2 months. So there's actually a product that we're looking at testing right now. And it's exactly that scenario. That particular brand needs to be tested over a period of about 4 months or so. So basically, what happens is we start the testing now. We are constantly reaching out to the consumer saying, we just want to check in. We want to make sure testing is going okay. Do you have any questions? Are you experiencing any issues? Anything we can assist with? And then we're keeping in touch with them over that period of time. And then as soon as that time is done, and we can put that into our platform allows us to customize, okay, this product needs a month of testing. This product needs 4 months of testing. This product needs 2 weeks. And that sets the deadlines for the consumer who's ultimately testing that product.
Is it all data driven? If you have 25 people that are testing product A, do they list everything by number rankings and then you guys tally it up? And if they score a certain number, then you win the certification? How does that work
Yeah.
with
So
data?
it's actually a lot of open-ended questions because we want to collect sentiment also. So if we simply scored it I feel like people can just jump through the numbers, click on them without a lot of thought just to get through it. But ultimately, I want to be giving the brands the real feedback. Like, okay, if you said this is a 5 out of 5 in terms of, it was that we have a furniture brand we work with. It was really easy to set up. Tell me more. Were there 1,000 parts? Were there 10 parts? Were the instructions easy to read? Like, why was it easy to set up? What made this different? So I love the open-ended questions. The brands love the open-ended questions because, again, it's kind of like, okay, we're getting a focus group out of this, not just earning a certification. So combination of both. So it's not a straightforward, oh, you got 5 out of 5 on everything and you earn the seal. It's taking in the qualitative and the quantitative.
So how do you quantify the qualitative stuff? I guess is my next question. If you're getting a lot of deep feedback from 25 people, how do you analyze that? Like, what if, 40% of the people said this part of it is great, but the other 60% said, well, this part isn't so great. How do you manage because everybody's different, right? We all have
Yeah.
different opinions but
Yeah.
you can spot patterns.
Yes.
How do you guys handle that?
Yeah. So, we look at things from the perspective of what's objective feedback, what is subjective feedback. So somebody, for example, might say, oh, I loved this crib, but I hated the color that I received. And maybe you have 40 or 60% of the people who said they hated the color. That is subjective. I don't really care about that ultimately, because if you told me, other than that, the product delivered on expectations, it did what it said, it was good quality, you felt your child was safe in that crib, that is going to weigh heavily. Whereas the color preference, or if it's a yogurt, the flavor preference, like, okay, I liked the taste and texture, but I loved the peach and I hated the raspberry. All very subjective, right? So we try to remove the subjective stuff out of the conversation. We're using a lot of AI tools now to help analyze the data that we are getting. So that's really simplifying the process for us. But we're trying to take the subjective out and focus on the more objective feedback.
Tell me about your team. How big is the company and what are the roles that you have filled and that you always need filled in order to produce what you say you will for your brands that work with you?
We are the teeniest, tiniest, mightiest company. So we are only 6 people. We have a social media, seven. We have a social media person. We have somebody who manages all of our campaigns, meaning our announcements, everything related to our B2C business, because we really have 2 businesses. We have B2B and we have B2C. We have our marketing person. He heads up everything that is B2B related and supports B2C. He's also a journalist, so he helps support the content we need to generate. We have someone on the team who's been with me for almost 14 years now. I would say she is the boss. Like when we used to have our offices and people would come in for interviews, I'd be like, she'd say, oh, this is our CEO. And I'd say, no, actually, she is. Because she just manages, she oversees everything from HR to connecting with all of the brands that we work with, making sure everything's going smoothly. We have 2 people in sales. We have a fractional CFO. And then I have this amazing group of, I call them my board of advisors, but it's totally informal. It's like this group of people who over the years have decided that Sharon Vinderine and Parent Tested, Parent Approved are going to be their pet project, and they are going to support me along the way from the perspective of, oh my God, things are so rough. I don't think I could do this anymore. And they are my raw team to, something's gone really well, or I have a new idea and they're helping me think through it. They're trying to zone me in and make sure that I'm focused on the right things. So, but they are just these amazing people who just want to help, not paid, not anything.
Did you hire before you needed help, or did you get to a certain point when you're first starting this business where you're like, I need some help?
Yeah. So when I started the business, I had actually approached someone that I knew from my wireless internet days. And I was like, okay, why don't you come on board and do this with me? And she was like, we'll try it out. And after about 6 months or so, um, I realized we work really differently. Like I work and she had no interest in working. So
Mhm.
that
That's awfully
relationship,
different.
yeah, that relationship ended really quickly. And I had brought her in as a partner. So this is a very little known fact, lesser known fact. I brought her in as a partner. And then after the 6 months, like as you can imagine, 6 months into a business, you are not making money. Money is just going out the door. And she said, okay, you want me out? No problem, but you're going to have to buy me out. And at an outrageous number that everyone advised me not to do. But ultimately, this was something I believed in and I knew I could do something amazing with it. So I paid her out over 2 years just to get rid of her. I brought on an employee who was with me for about 6 years, and she helped me jumpstart the business, help support me while help support the business while I was running around traveling. At the beginning of time, products weren't being drop shipped to consumers because I only had a small network of families locally. So I was getting the products at my office, and then I and this other person were driving around and delivering these packages to families all over our local area. So it was like a lot of heavy lifting, and there's no way I could have done it by myself.
Yeah, and maybe there's a lesson there in the beginning of giving out partnership, before
Oh
anything's
my
proven.
God. Absolutely. But I, I distinctly remember driving around trying to decide what I was going to do. And I was having a call with my accountant and my lawyer. And I distinctly remember this. I pulled into a parking lot because I was so upset and stressed. And I burst into tears. So I'm sitting in a parking lot of some random business. I am in my car, literally crying, trying to make this decision because it was a lot of money. I was just starting out. I had 2 little kids. My husband had just launched his business. And I was thinking, okay, am I really going to risk everything we have or a good chunk of it in order to invest in something that is such an unknown at this stage? So it was one of those things where I was like, I am really uncomfortable. Change is scary as heck. But I believe in myself and I believe in what I'm doing. And my husband fully supported it. And that was really all I needed in order to make that incredibly hard decision.
Yeah, when you're a business owner, the buck stops with you, right? The decisions, the big decisions, almost all the
Yeah.
decisions get made by you. Especially at the beginning, you are making all the decisions. It
Yeah.
is up to you,
Yeah.
and it's almost a theme here. You got to be comfortable being uncomfortable, and
Yeah.
especially when it comes to decision making.
That's it. That is it.
Yeah,
And now when I think back, I'm like, okay, so I created in my mind what I wanted this certification to look like. And now it is carried by, top brands in North America or global brands. And it feels amazing. It's this amazing sense of accomplishment. Like if I stopped doing this tomorrow, I would know I accomplished what I wanted. Number one, I wanted to get this seal of approval recognized by millions. It is recognized by tens of millions of people. Number two, and something we haven't talked about, is I wanted to make sure that I was positively impacting the communities in which I operated. So we have given away way over $1 million in products to families. So some families received full nurseries. Some families, whether it is mattresses, whether it is Dyson, vacuums and fans, like air purification systems. We have had such a unique opportunity to match brands with consumers, get families free products in the hopes that they go, okay, I can actually get something for nothing. And now I want to pay it forward. I want to do something good, and take care of the next person because I've seen that there is an opportunity for some good in this world.
I love that. What a great example of a business having impact in multiple ways for the B2C side as well as the B2B. It looks like it's a win-win-win for everybody involved. I love that.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, Sharon, we've learned a ton from you today. Thank you so much for sharing your time and knowledge. This has been fantastic. I want to make sure that all our listeners out there, if they want to, if it's still an opportunity to sign up as a parent tester, I want to make sure they know how to do that. And B, where can people find out more about you or more about parent tested, parent approved? What's all the goodies there?
Sure. So for families who want to sign up as testers, they can visit ptpa.com and they can sign up there. For brands that are interested in learning more about our program, they can go to ptpaawards.com. And reaching out to me, the best way I would say is LinkedIn. I am always on LinkedIn. I avoid all other social, but LinkedIn is a great place to find me, connect with me, ask me questions. I am always open to interesting conversations with people. So that's probably the best way to connect with me.
Awesome. All right. Well, Sharon, thank you again so much. This has been an absolute pleasure, and we wish you nothing but the best moving forward.
Thank you. Thanks for a great conversation. I really enjoyed it.